Hello anyone, and welcome to whatever this is, which today is the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles! I'm so ready! We've been waiting for this game to be localised for, I forget how long, future Aurora, put it on the screen, do the thing. But I'm so hyped about this. I'm a huge Ace Attorney fan. I've played all of the games that are available in English, so all 6 main games and the first investigations. I'm just incredibly hyped. I'm so ready for whatever this nonsense is going to be. I really don't know that much about DGS. I've seen a couple of possible spoilers on Twitter, but I haven't been able to confirm any of them. So my knowledge is very limited, and I'm really excited to find out more about it. Also, this music is giving me massive Professor Layton vs Ace Attorney vibes, and that was a really good game, so that just makes me even happier. Ah, exciting!
The Empire of Japan. After opening its doors, a push for cultural transformation brought great waves of Western influence to this far eastern island nation. The revolution washed over the land, making life in the capital exciting and unsettling. It was a period of great change, and some was swept away by the tide. But for one man, the turbulence of that era was just the beginning of an extraordinary story.
Of course it was him. Of course it was. Oh, I'm hyped. I may have mentioned this, but gosh, I'm excited. Oh boy, those sound effects are grating already, but we will get used to them. A couple of points. First of all, I really know not enough about Japanese history for this. There were a few people recommending information to read before playing on Twitter that I really need to go and read. If I find anything good, I'll put it in the description. But yeah, so forgive me if I make any inaccuracies or anything, but again, this is a work of fiction, so hopefully it won't matter too much. Loving all the judges' portraits. They're great fun. Oh gosh. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe this is happening. How can it be that just beyond the doors to this quiet little chamber is the highest court in Japan, waiting to decide my fate? Also, I'm very sorry if I pronounce any of the names wrong, please do forgive me. But, this guy is, well, not the bailiff, but the protagonist, is Phoenix's ancestor, and so it makes perfect sense that he'd start off being framed for murder. I mean, I presume that's what's happening here, because this is an Ace Attorney game. What? Oh, no, nothing. Save your glares, murderer. Sorry. My name is Rinosuke Naruhodo. Oh, that's going to be so wrong. Oh boy. Hang on, let me see how I meant to say this. Okay, I can't seem to find anyone saying his name without accidentally spoilering myself, so again, I'm very sorry for any pronunciation issues. I'm a second-year student at the Imperial Yuma University. 3 days ago, I somehow found myself in the middle of a horrifying incident. And now here I am, awaiting my trial. That's enough. He's not obliged to listen to such abuse, officer. And who are you? I'm this man's lawyer. I'll be defending him today. Lawyer? Yes, and until the judge has given his verdict on the case, no one has the right to treat him as a criminal. So you will hold your tongue. Technicalities. Look at you, you haven't even graduated yet. And yet, I still seem to know better than you how a court officer should behave. Right, Ryunosuke? Oh gosh, I feel bad about how I'm saying this. Anyway, this guy, all I know is that Twitter loves him. Oh, yes, of course, sorry. What are you apologizing to me for? Oh, no, I suppose that wasn't my fault. But really, Kazuma, I never meant to drag you into this. I'm sorry. Huh. There you go again, apologizing. Just like always. Though I must say, you've been all over the newspapers these past few days. You, my university professor, murdered in cold blood by students. But obviously, you didn't actually do it, did you? Of course not. You have to believe me. I didn't do it. I could never murder someone. Then there's nothing to worry about. Straighten yourself up. Hold your head high. You mean... Also, where is, like, the wind coming from that's blowing his headband like that? I appreciate the aesthetic, but this is clearly a drafty courtroom. I believe you. I know you're innocent, Ryunosuke. Kazuma Osogi, my best friend, also in his second year at Yuma University. But he's far more clever than I, a star student, in fact. He's even a qualified lawyer. Impressive, considering he's still an undergraduate. It's not that impressive. Okay, so it's another Ace Attorney prodigy. Good to know. The very concept of lawyers is only a few years old, here in Japan anyway. Really? Wild. My qualifications don't mean much, yet. You said exactly the same thing 3 days ago. But I'm proud to have a friend like you, Kazuma, truly. 3 days ago. Yes, that's when all this started. Congratulations, Kazuma. It looks like you're going to get to study abroad at last. I know, I've been forever dreaming of this day. Finally, those government elites have acknowledged my academic achievements and successes in court. So you'll be representing Japan as you immerse yourself in the most sophisticated legal system in the world. Oh no, are we talking about England here? That I do feel qualified to speak on, and we're not this great, guys. We're just not. I'm really happy for you, and proud, as your friend. There's not a soul in the university who doesn't know Kazuma's name. He's a living legend. It's like there's some mysterious aura billowing around his temple. Is that what's making the headband move? I want to bring about change in our own legal system. That's why I have to cross the ocean to see the real thing with my own eyes. The heart of the British Empire. I wish I could see it too. Oh mate, you're not missing much. We suck. Then come with me. We'd have a wild time tearing up the streets of Her Majesty's City of London together. If only it were that simple. Oh dear, look at the time. I'd better get going. Alright, I'll see you later. I think I'll stay and enjoy this place a while longer. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in English class tomorrow then, partner. Oh, I'm getting the shipping vibes already. That's like half the content I've seen of these two. It was straight after that. That's when it happened. Osogi, may I have a word? Professor, I didn't know you were coming. Well, this case has personal significance to me. Is he the murderer? My bet's he's the murderer. But never mind that for now. Osogi, you should go immediately to the judge's chambers. To His Excellency's chambers? Why? He was looking for you before. You advocating for the defense in this trial was a sudden decision. It seems there may be some confusion about procedures today as a result. Oh, is he normally a prosecutor? Oh, good. Who is this man? I feel as though I've seen him at university before. I see. I'll go at once then. I shall accompany you. Alright then, Ryunosuke. I'll see you in the courtroom. Yes. Thanks, Kazuma. Awkward silence it is, okay. Yeah, this is awkward. Glad we agree. If I may? Yes, sorry? You must be the defendant. Ryenosuke Naruhodo, I believe. Yes, that's right. My name is Yujin Mikotaba. I'm a professor of forensic medicine at Yuma University. Ah, Professor Mikotaba. I've heard that name from Kazuma before. As I recall, he's been pushing to get the government to agree to Kazuma studying abroad. Asugi has told me about you. You and he are best friends, I understand. As such, I feel you should know. Know what? Well, as you've no doubt heard, Asugi has been granted permission to go and study in Great Britain. However, if he should fail to defend you in today's trial, I'm afraid that permission will be revoked, and never granted again. Okay, we're really getting off to a good start here then, aren't we? What? As I suspected, you were unaware of this. I had a feeling Asugi may have chosen not to tell you. He's agreed to defend me, knowing that if he fails, his dreams will be shattered? But I don't understand. Why would the government do such a thing? The administration has to choose from a large number of applicants for overseas study. It's very difficult to persuade them to grant permission, even in the most favourable of circumstances. I don't believe it. But I didn't do it, I swear it. I'm not a murderer. I'm sure that's true. Nevertheless, I can assure you that proving your innocence will be no easy task. You see, there are certain peculiarities about today's trial. That's always a good sign. Loving this music. It's one of the best things about Ace Attorney, they have such good soundtracks as a general rule. Sorry? What do you mean? You'll soon understand once proceedings get underway. But then what should I do? Well, naturally I'm not going to suggest doing anything that could lead to a conviction. Right, so as soon as the trial starts, exercise right to self-representation, maybe? If that's a thing? The judge will pose a certain question to the defense. When that happens, you must answer before anyone else. You must say, I do. I do? Okay, so either we're getting married or we're taking up our own defense. Good to know. But what will the question be? Surely not. Do you accept the accusations brought before you? Of course not. Defendant! Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. It would seem our surreptitious discussions are to be cut short. Speaking of short, I wonder how long the first case is. Because normally they're, like, pretty quick in all of the other games, but then Spirit of Justice happened and gave us the 8-hour first case, which everyone was mad about. So yeah, this could be an experience. So allow me to summarise. Kazuma Asugi must not be the defence lawyer in this trial. Of course, as the defendant, the final decision is yours. What are you waiting for? Do you want to be found guilty for failing to appear? Get moving. There's no point in anyone advocating for the likes of you anyway. Oh, that's very Phoenix Wright vibes. Defending the people no one else wants to stand up for is like peak Ace Attorney content. This is it. If this trial goes badly, Kazuma's dreams of studying abroad are over, and what's more, I'll be found guilty of murder. And so, with absolutely no idea of what lay ahead, I embarked on that unforgettable trial. Yeah, no pressure then. My one and only chance of proving my innocence, the trial that would decide my destiny. Oh boy. Oh, look at him. I love him so much already. He seems so much less stylish than his friend, though. Oh, what an icon. So, this is a courtroom. Who's the pain equivalent, though? That's the real question. The first case prosecutors are generally quite irritating, but we shall see. The Supreme Court of Judicature. No court in the land has more power. I could well be saying English words wrong at this point. Forgive me. I don't know how to read. I don't much like the look of those people sitting in the public gallery. Lots of military and other uniforms in there. The powers that be have demanded that this be a secret trial. Why? Seriously, for what purpose? Hasn't he already mentioned that we've been in the news already, though? A secret trial? A trial that's closed to ordinary members of the public. Only military and government officials may attend. What? But why? It'll become clear in time. But for now... You need to concentrate, Ryunosuke. It's about to begin. Is that a pain, Ancestor? It looked like a pain. Probably will be a pain. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. The prosecutor is ready, Your Excellency. Ouchie is very much in line with Winston and Gasp and Pain. As is the defence. Before we begin, there is one point of order I would like to confirm. Yesterday evening, the defence made a last-minute request for a change of advocate. That's correct, Your Excellency. I made the request myself. Normal procedure is for the defendant's advocacy to be decided 2 days prior to trial. As this is an unusual circumstance, I am obliged to ask for final confirmation now. Who advocates for the defendant in this trial? Here we go. This is it. This must be the question. Who's going to defend me? That's the question the professor meant. But then, if I say I do... I need to answer quickly. What should I do? Oh, I haven't had a save point, and frankly I'm going all in on the bluff your way until you find out what's happening, so I do. Your Excellency, no confirmation is needed. As I'm standing here beside the defendant, I hope it's clear who... What is the meaning of this unruly outburst? I would like to inform the court that I, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, will be defending myself. Oh, what an idiot. I love him. You'll be... what? What are you playing at, Ryunosuke? Professor Mikotoba told me everything, just now before the trial. He did what? He said that your dreams of studying abroad would be dashed if you were to lose. How sad. It means you don't have faith in me. You think I won't be able to get you off. No, it's not that, really. It's just that... Well, on the off chance that things don't go well for me, I couldn't bear to be the reason that you... Yes. Wild that the, main rival isn't the prosecutor this time, or the one with all the tension in this case. But man, I love these two already. What a duo. I knew that's how you'd feel, which is exactly why I decided not to tell you. Huh, Professor Mikotoba shouldn't have stuck his nose in. Very well. The court hereby recognises the defendant's desire to advocate for himself in today's trial. Well, well. Does the accused admit defeat already? Renouncing his own counsel? Really?
Objection!
Make no mistake, counsel. This merely shows that this defendant's innocence is so apparent, he's confident that he can speak for himself. Ah yes, this is the animation of a man who looks confident. Oh, bless him. Isn't that so, Naruhodo-san? Oh, yes, exactly. Exactly what I wasn't thinking. I'm not confident at all. Oh, just like Phoenix. Huh, they even share that sprite. That's fun. In fact, my mind's a complete blank. I realise you're in charge now, but still, try not to look so bewildered. Huh. Well, for a mere university student to be brought before the Supreme Court, you must have perpetrated a most heinous crime indeed. As you are no doubt aware, this is the Supreme Court of Judicature in Japan. Accordingly, the very highest standards of conduct are expected of all present. Oh dear. Do I make myself clear, Defendant Naruhodo? Yes, Your Excellency. It is therefore my duty to assess your competence for the task you have undertaken. Oh, we're doomed. My competence? What does that mean? He's questioning your ability to do the job. Well, he can't be questioning it more than I am. So, let's start with the very simplest of questions. Oh, yes. Kindly state before the courts the name of the victim in this case. Well, that's easy enough. I've heard his name more times than I care to remember. But, wait. Oh, I'm so nervous I can't even remember that. What was it again? Rinosuke. Let me guess. Your mind's gone blank? You know me so well. All the relevant information for this case can be found in the court record. But I can't even find that. It's simple. You can access the court record with the press of R. Okay. I think that's the same. Because I've only played previous games on the DS, I'm used to the touchscreen controls. Oh, the joys. Also, have I mentioned how glad I am that this is on Switch? I'm desperate for... I mean, the trilogy's been ported to everything, and don't get me wrong, I love the trilogy, but Apollo Justice is my favourite game! Give my boy the Switch attention! And Dual Destinies is also very good, and we're avoiding mentioning the other one. But give us the good games, Capcom! I mean, again, they're all great, but I want them all! Anyway, back from my sidetracking. If you ever find you've forgotten something, just consult that. It's all in there. I just have to press R for the court record. Alright, there's no time to lose. This is the list of evidence you've collected. Now try switching to people instead with R. Okay, I can't look at what we've got yet. You'll find details about the victim in here. When you're done, just press B to go back. Okay, just need to check a message quickly. Alright, I have to do a thing, be right back. Okay, I am back. Also, I looked at some stuff, and I've definitely been saying his name wrong. I'm sorry, I think it's Rinosuke is more accurate. I'll try and do better. Forgive me. But anyway, who was that? John Wilson? Interesting. He's the victim? Oh dear. So, I happen to know that Iris Wilson is the Watson equivalent. So I presume this would have been John Watson in the Japanese, because, you know, there was the whole thing with localising the detective, and the copyright issues that have come up lately. We'll cover that when he appears. But very interesting that he's straight up been murdered in case 1. That's very unfortunate. So, John Wilson, the victim of the case, he was a visiting professor of medicine at the university from the British Empire. Just looking at the other stuff. Okay. Well, I'm not likely to forget who that was. So remember, everything to do with the current case can be found in the court record. I want to have a look at what this is. 2 PM, blood from a gunshot, but it didn't pass through the body. Good to know, unless that autopsy report gets updated. Let's keep on tutorialing. Now, you better not keep His Excellency waiting any longer. Go on. Find the victim in the people section of the court record, then press X to present. Try it now.
Yes!
The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. Well, at least you can remember the name of an esteemed member of your own university. Dr. Wilson was a visiting professor from England, invited to Yume University 3 years ago. Indeed, which is the reason why this case has such profound implications. The British Empire is at present our country's most valuable foreign ally. Okay, so that'll be while the military are here. And as most of you will be aware, we have just signed a new treaty together after lengthy negotiations. I wonder what the historical accuracy of this is. Given that it's Ace Attorney, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say probably not much, but yeah. Really ought to have read up before this. There can't be anyone who hasn't heard of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. And yet, despite these delicate circumstances, the blood of an Englishman has been spilt on our soil. You two are both undergraduates of the Imperial Yume University, are you not? Murdering a professor from the very institution that provides your education. Have you no honour? Ugh, but I didn't do it. This case is coming under great scrutiny from our allies on the other side of the world. The court therefore wishes for a speedy resolution to this matter. In other words, our feeble government is scared of upsetting England's policymakers. Are you sure you want to say that out loud in the middle of the court with all the government here, my dude? And you're a convenient and expendable scapegoat to blame for this crime. Thanks for the reassurance there, Kazuma. So that's why this trial has these unusual peculiarities, is it? Exactly. Our government needs to convict someone as quickly as possible. All because the victim was an Englishman. Yes, Dr. Wilson was an Englishman. But nationalities and treaties won't make any difference for me here. That's another one of Phoenix Wright's sprites, isn't it? Oh boy. The pose recycling is kind of amazing. The fact is, I was there at the scene of the crime. Oh dear, look at the time. I better be going. Alright, I'll see you later. I think I'll stay and enjoy this place a little longer. Good idea. After all, it's not every day that you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in English class tomorrow then, partner. The British Empire. Wow, it's incredible to think. Wait. I've seen that man at university. I'm sure he's a visiting professor from Great Britain. I don't know his name, but still, I should go and say hello. So I went over to the professor's table and introduced myself to Dr. Wilson. Now then, let me pose my next question to you, Defendant Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. How did this professor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson, lose his life? He was shot. I remember reading that. State before the court the cause of death. The cause of death? Well, obviously that was, Rinosuke. Remember that in court, every assertion must be backed up by evidence. Oh, evidence is everything in a court of law. I'm having flashbacks. By evidence? But how? Find a piece of evidence that shows the professor's cause of death and select present. Do it now.
Yes!
Well... According to this document, the victim suffered a hemorrhagic death due to gunshot trauma. Learn to read, you imbecile. I feel like that's targeted at me. Oh, being called out already. That's the post-mortem report, I take it. Sorry, yes, that's right. The, post-mortem report. In the West, a doctor dissects corpses. Oh, I don't like the use of the word dissects there, but I guess it's technically true. A doctor dissects corpses to identify the cause of death in an autopsy. But here in Japan, a police officer merely inspects the body and draws conclusions that way. Interesting. Oh, I see. As long as I'm not going to be tested on any of this later, says the guy who's going to end up becoming a law student. This is a so-called photographic print of the scene of the crime. You can clearly discern scorch marks around the bullet hole produced by the powder explosion. Oh, my voice is going. Oh, this game's going to be a lot of reading. You can clearly discern scorch marks around the bullet hole produced by the powder explosion. In other words, we should assume that the victim was shot at close range. Thank you, Counsel. The court will accept this modern scientific evidence into the record. The idea of a photo being modern scientific evidence is just so funny to me. The photograph print of the victim has been entered into the court record. So that's a photographic print. Well, that's something I've never seen before. It's clearly superior to a drawing. The detail is incredible. Very well, I'm satisfied with your answers. Let us start the trial. Certainly, Your Excellency. So without further ado, in order to better apprise the court with the facts of the case, the prosecution hereby calls its first witness, who was there at the scene of the crime when it happened. This is it then. I think I may have worked out what the Professor had in mind. The Professor? You mean Dr. Mikotaba? Yes, clearly you're the defence lawyer today, not me. But that doesn't mean... Well, I can still act as your assistant. Ah, of course. When he was speaking with me before, he simply said, Kazuma Asogi must not be the defence lawyer in this trial. I'm assuming it's because he's the murderer and he thought that Asogi would be able to catch him out. He really has been sticking his oar in, hasn't he? Maybe, but any help you can give me would be greatly appreciated, Kazuma. Well, my first piece of advice is, rein in that crazy look of bewilderment and control the cold sweats. Only if you rein in that crazy headband and control the cold stares first. Oh, I love them. They're wonderful. Witness, state your name and occupation for the court, please. Of course, my name is Satoru Hanasaga. No, it's not. I can't read. Hasanaga. Good grief. I'm the head waiter at a Western-style restaurant called Le Carnaval. Okay. Ahem. Oh. Oh dear. What happened to you? Are you alright? You seem to be coughing up some, It's a regular occurrence. It really doesn't bother me. I think you should probably be bothered by that, but okay. He's gonna have a fun witness breakdown, isn't he? Well, it really, really should. Yeah. As everyone knows, the capital's southern-eastern quarter was developed for foreign visitors some years ago. It's become a very fashionable district now, full of hotels to accommodate overseas guests. This grim crime occurred in one of the district's so-called restaurants, an Occidental eatery 3 days ago. Understood. Hanasaga-san, you will kindly tell the court everything you can about the incident. At once, sir. No petty interjections from the aspiring lawyer boy, please. But petty interjections are what we do during cross-examinations. Oh, aspiring maybe, but aspiring. It was just after 2 PM on the day in question. We have a few diners at that time of day. The lunchtime rush was over, and there were only 3 tables still occupied. That fits in with my memory of it too. There was hardly anyone else in the place. It was when I was in the kitchen, putting away crockery and cutlery. A gunshot rang out, so I hurried out to the dining area to see what had happened. I found the victim, an English gentleman, slumped in his chair. And standing immediately beside him, gun in hand, was the accused university student.
Yes!
Hold on. Let me just clarify something here. I hope he doesn't keep with the yes the whole time. It's not as catchy as hold it. Well, I did pick up a gun that I found lying on the floor beside the professor. I didn't shoot him.
Objection!
I believe I asked you to refrain from petty interjections. The court wishes to listen to the witness's report of what he saw, you amateur. But the next time you interrupt at an inappropriate time, you will be penalised. Defendant Naruhido. Don't worry, Ryunosuke. You'll still have your chance to fight back. For now, we must just quietly listen to the witness. If I may confirm one point, waiter. Standing beside the victim with a gun in his hand was the same man we see here in court today. Yes, without question. I see. And apart from the accused, was there anyone else standing beside the victim? No. There was no one else around that table but the deceased Englishman and the university student. Huh? Wait, what did he just say? There was no one else around that table. What's the matter, Ryunosuke? That's just not right. When I went over to Dr. Wilson to say hello, there was a woman sitting opposite him at his table. Really? And that's not something the waiter could have missed. I've been warned about interjecting, but still. What should I do? Ooh, I don't know. Let's just go for it.
Yes!
Just a moment, please. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone that day. I'm sure of it. There was a lady sitting with him at the same table.
Objection!
Dear me, what are we going to do with you? With your blatant disregard for court proceedings, I'm beginning to wonder if you're not a fraud. Could it be that the accused, this Miss Student, is not a real lawyer after all? But I'm sure of what I saw. Hosonaga-san, is there any chance you're mistaken? Perhaps your memory of events is hazy? No. The deceased gentleman came to dine alone. Oh, the glasses thing is really unnerving. This guy's giving me big vibes of the villain from Ace Attorney 4. I don't believe it. I actually have a rough plan of the restaurant as it was that day. Please have a look if you'd like to. Let me see. Ah, a sketch of the establishment's layouts, drawn by yourself, I presume. That's right. I'm afraid I used the back of my business card. It was a turbulent situation. We're gonna have to examine the other side of that business card, aren't we? However, as you can see, the gentleman in question was seated alone. Well, you're clearly a very conscientious waiter. Thank you, sir. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence. Oh, well. Is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once. Of course. Here you are. What was that about? He's been completely calm and collected until now. Is it in the record yet? Not yet, okay. Something certainly seems to have shaken him. The waiter's business card has been entered into the court record. Well, he's not okay. So, the court has now heard a proceedings of the case. Just gonna take a look at this. Okay, good, thank you for translating for me. Okay, I can't look at the back of it yet. That's annoying. Yes, at the moment the gunshot was heard in the restaurant. The only person in close proximity to the victim was the defendant on trial today. It would seem we are looking at a black and white case here. Defendant Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency? If you admit your guilt at this stage, the court is willing to look mercifully upon you. In other words, you may have some small reprieve in terms of your inevitable punishment. I called this waiter as an unsworn witness in order to explain the details of the case to the court. But I must warn the defence if you are determined to pursue matters further in this trial. The prosecution has decisive evidence from sworn witnesses who are present at the scene of the crime. What do you think I should do, Kazuma? What do you mean? Well, I'm going to be found guilty one way or another, it seems. Wouldn't it be sensible to plead guilty at this stage and hope for a more lenient sentence? Everyone keeps telling me that this trial is unusual, about these peculiarities. You've said it, Professor Mikatoba's said it, and so has the judge and the prosecution. I'm scared of what lies ahead if I push this. As I said from the outset, I believe you're innocent. I trust you. And yet, despite knowing that, you're willing now to throw that trust back in my face? Is that it? What? If the accused is in fact innocent, then a defense lawyer is duty-bound to prove that innocence by whatever means necessary. Are you just going to abandon that duty? Are you going to give up on yourself? The battle hasn't even begun yet, Ryunosuke. The defense pleads not guilty, Your Excellency. We invite the prosecution to stop making empty threats and bring out its witnesses. Then we'll see just how decisive this evidence really is. Oh boy! Indeed. Prosecutor Ouchi, please continue with proceedings. Well, you were warned. The young can be so reckless. You know, many call me a saint, but I can be a devil when I want to be. What a pretentious guy. In a few short moments from now, that dumbstruck young mouth of yours will be silenced. Forever. The prosecution calls its next witnesses. Very well. Officer, bring forth the witnesses at once. Witnesses, kindly state your names and occupations for the court. Interesting that we're getting two at once. Yes, sir. Great Nippon Imperial Army Sergeant Ieyasu Noserve reporting for duty, sir. Myself, I find employ as a purveyor of fine articles of antiquity from the efflorescence of our nation, Nippon, and conduct my trade from Rasute, a humble premises in the 2nd District. Kiryo Korakuta, it's your service. Again, sorry for mispronunciations, I don't speak Japanese. My bad. An antique dealer and a soldier. What an unusual pairing. Both of these gentlemen were present at the restaurant on the day in question. They must be the diners at the other table that the waiter mentioned. Myself, I habitually take tea at the most exquisite aroma at the establishment in question, always post-noon. And not infrequently converse with interested parties regarding the curios with which I make my business. I can't understand a word that old man is saying. He's an antique dealer, and it sounds like he's a regular at Le Carnaval. He seeks out potential customers who may have an interest in antiques and tries to sell his wares to them. He obviously targets Le Carnaval because it's a high-class restaurant with rich clientele. Right, I see. Although, to be honest, that sergeant looks more like he'd be a seller rather than a buyer. Now, you both witnessed the precise moment of this atrocious incident. Is that correct? Affirmative. The enemy unit was seen attacking the foreigner in what can only be described as an act of war, sir. It was that black uniformed rogue infantryman over there who unloaded his firearm, sir. Was that like a baby crying sound effect? What the heck was that? This man's as impossible to understand as the other. Welcome to Ace Attorney, witnesses. But I'm almost sure I heard a strange noise during that last thing he said. Okay, glad that wasn't just me. So, this is the decisive evidence the prosecution was threatening. The soldier is claiming that he actually saw the precise moment you shot the victim dead. Yes. Well, are you starting to feel uncomfortable? If I'm honest, I was feeling uncomfortable from the start. Now, the court will hear your formal testimony, please. You will state everything you saw at the precise moment that the incident occurred. Sir, yes, sir. Standing by ready to support, sir. I don't know what that sound effect is, but I hate it. Unsavoury memories of a most acerbic afternoon. Cross-examination time. I was ingesting a regulation beefsteak at the restaurant while having a tactical discussion with the old man. Myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden curio to the military gentleman. At that precise moment, a firearm was discharged. I observed the enemy's actions with my own eyes. The black-uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel. Well, there's our contradiction. I was on my hands and knees, investigating the whereabouts of my mysterious, absconded precious curio. Well, so you, Sergeant Noser, actually witnessed the vital moment. You saw the split second when the defendant fired the weapon at the victim. Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. That wicked university cadet, sir. The cruel and unforgivable enemy. Ah, you have a knife. That's reassuring. What times we live in, when an English gentleman may be assailed in the broad light of day. But this is ridiculous. I didn't shoot anyone. Is that really true, Ryunosuke? Yes! All I did was pick up the gun that I saw lying on the floor. After I'd said hello to Dr. Wilson, I went back to my table and sat drinking some coffee. Then, when I'd finished, I got up from my seat to leave the restaurant, when I noticed an English-made gun next to the chair where the professor was sitting. I thought perhaps the professor had dropped it, so I bent down, and just as I was picking it up... Yeah, that's not great. Well, if that's the truth, there was obviously a criminal on the scene somewhere. And somewhere in these two witnesses' testimonies, there's a clue as to who that criminal was. There is? Ryunosuke, you must exercise your right to cross-examine the witnesses. Cross-examine? Do it now. As we have heard, Your Excellency, there is no room for doubt in the testimony of these witnesses. The defendant is clearly guilty. It is time to bring this despicable student to justice. Certainly, the testimony the court has just heard eliminates any vestige of doubt. Therefore, it is my grave duty to declare the verdict of this trial. I love how he raises his hands. That's so cute. What in the name of the Emperor is the meaning of this outburst? I mean, the defense demands its right to a cross-examination. Dear me, dear me. Let me guess. The Hachimaki headband boy next door told me to do it. How pathetic. Huh? How did he know? Maybe because one of you's actually a lawyer here? The prosecution objects. This is a clear waste of time. The defendant obviously has no experience. How can he possibly carry out a cross-examination?
Objection!
The defense is asserting its right to a cross-examination. Whether or not you think he's capable of it is irrelevant. Kazuma is so commanding. Very well. Let the defense conduct a cross-examination of the witnesses. Alright, this is where the battle really begins, Ryunosuke. But I don't even know what I have to do in a cross-examination. Isn't it obvious? You have to expose the lies in the witnesses' statements. How? You didn't fire the gun, which means what that soldier said has to be a lie. Well, yes, but it's just a case of proving it, and the key to doing that is evidence. Right. Evidence. All you need to do is present some decisive and indisputable evidence that proves the witness is lying. Good thing I know what it is. Now let's go, Ryunosuke. Don't let them beat you. Alright then. It's all or nothing. Do I still have the option to press? Because that's half of the fun. Yeah, I do. Fabulous.
Yes!
Why aren't you saying anything? Is this some new interrogation technique? I hadn't actually thought of what I wanted to ask. Just ask about anything that catches your attention. Anything that bothers you. Alright then, this beefsteak you mentioned. What kind of food is that? Beefsteak is a delicious cut of veal, vigorously cooked on a cast iron grill and served piping hot. Oh. If food could receive medals of honour, beefsteak would be almost as highly decorated as a cutlet. Right, I see. Thank you, sir. So, next question. This cutlet you mentioned, what kind of food is that? Cutlet is a delicious cut of veal tossed in breadcrumbs and deep fried in cooking oil. Accept your guilty verdict, atone for your crimes, and when you're released from prison, try it. At least they're implying you'll be released. That's better than most people seem to think Ace Attorney trials end up. Yes, sir, I will, sir. On the double, sir. Sorry to interrupt, but that's a good point, actually. England still had capital punishment at the time this is set, so I'm afraid. How about trying to stick to questions that are relevant to the case? Oops, sorry. I'll do my best. So, next question. Is it just me, or do you keep hearing a sort of wah crying noise? Negative. Well, at least we've learned that he's a big beef lover. Affirmative. It's not easy knowing what questions to ask. I got an achievement! Myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden curio.
Yes!
I should have pressed the last one, but I skipped over it by accident. So, you're saying that you actually saw me at that time? Affirmative, I saw you. Laughing, cackling like a madman as you trained the barrel of your gun on the English civilian. But that's impossible, I only... Allow me to confirm just one point, please. What's that, Private? Thinking carefully about the statement you just made, it seems to me that it must have been just after you heard the gunshot that you looked over to the victim's table. And so what if it was? Well, if that really is the case, it would mean that you didn't in fact see the precise moment when the killer actually fired the gun. Ah! And double R! My sixth sense. Sorry. My sixth sense of danger. I picked up the waves of murderous energy radiating from your foul mind. Which means, a split second before you pulled the trigger, I was looking right at you, Cadet. Surely that's not really possible, is it? Do you think I'd have got where I am today in the army if I couldn't sense danger in the air, son? Well... It would seem the soldier is absolutely convinced that he saw you do the deed. This is not good. Oh, excuse me yawning, I've not been sleeping terribly well lately, but it wasn't going to put me off lawyer game. So, I know that this is where I need to present, because... he was shot from the front.
Yes!
But I'm going to keep pressing a little longer. So this black uniformed university cadet, you're saying that was... Ugh. I've had just about enough of your sauce, Cadet. Who else do you see around here in black uniform? Well, there's someone standing right next to me who fits that description as well, but... It was you, you little weasel. You unloaded the firearm on that man. From behind his back, and you call yourself a citizen of the great empire of Nippon? You disgust me. What is it, Ryunosuke? I'm not quite sure. It's something that the sergeant just said, but I can't put my finger on it. Something's playing on my mind. In that case, check back over the details of the evidence you've gathered in the court record. And if you find an inconsistency there with what the witness just said, then don't hold back. Present the evidence to the court, thrust it in the witness's face and make him choke on it. Alright, calm down. I'm wondering if he was the one who shot because he was on his hands and knees.
Yes!
Let's see what happened to his curio. On your hands and knees? Could you explain that, please? That's right. Spurning the arthritis I was in order to retrieve the lost piece. I feel that. What lost piece are you referring to? Oh! The British-made gun that Ryunosuke found on the floor. That guy was trying to sell it to the military guy. I bet that's what's happening here. Oh, hello. The Koban, of course. The exquisite high-era Koban coin. I had just been showing the rare treasure to the military man as he masticated his meal. After averting my eyes for the briefest of moments, it was there no more. It simply vanished. Wonder if whatever's making the weird wah noise is responsible for it. Baby Waluigi or whatever. The Koban vanished? Hence I began to acquaint myself with the intricacies of the floor in order to locate it. And then it happened. You heard the gunshot, you mean? None other than, though it was no concern of mine, I was frantically scouring the floor for the aforementioned lost treasure. So, in fact, you didn't actually witness the precise moment when the incident occurred. Indeed. Myself, I did not. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do here. Listen, Ryunosuke. We know there are lies lurking in these statements. It's time to expose them. I understand that. The question is, how? Like I said before, the key to this is using evidence that you've collected. You can examine and present evidence while the witness is giving testimony by pressing R. Go through each witness statement and the details about each piece of evidence and compare all the facts. Somewhere in there you'll find something that doesn't add up. In other words, an inconsistency. An inconsistency. When you find a statement and a piece of evidence that seem to contradict each other, present your evidence with X and rip the witness apart. Just be careful, because if you assert a contradiction that has no basis, you'll be given a penalty. There are some times with Ace Attorney, though, where there's really obvious connections you can make, but because it's not the right time in the story, they penalise you anyway, and it's infuriating. We'll see how things go. If you're dealt too many penalties, the defence's case will fall apart and you'll receive a guilty verdict. So that's it. Peruse the evidence in the court record and find an inconsistency with a witness's statement. Alright, I'll give it a try. You can hear the witness statement over and over again as many times as you like. So keep your head and be measured in your attack. Good luck, partner. Doo-doo-ba-doo. Right, I didn't manage to press this last time, so let's have a look. I have no idea what you're talking about. A Koban boy. A Koban? You mean an old Edo coin? The day prior to the incident, a treasure of exceptional value from the Heian period entered my possession. I took myself to the restaurant the following day, with said items secreted in my bosom pocket, in the hope of an affluent cognoscent appraised of its indisputable value being present. Some of the words this guy uses. So, you are hoping to sell your Koban coin to Sergeant Noza, who you met at the restaurant. I also haven't figured out their name puns yet, and I haven't seen their full names enough to figure it out. I guess I could have a look. Well, Curio is the obvious one there for me, but not particularly getting anything from the others yet. You're about to assert that a penniless soldier would have no hope of purchasing a precious Koban. Isn't that so? Well... You little upstart cadet. You want to add disrespecting a superior officer to your list of crimes, do you? Blatant subordination. No, I didn't say anything. Although penniless might be just the word I was looking for. In any case, the hour was already advanced beyond that of the midday luncheon. There remained precious few present with whom I could engage a discourse about matters of business. The The gentleman beside me, who was grappling with his braised veal at the time, was my sole prospect. I see. Okay, let's go for it.
Yes!
That statement is clearly odd. What appears to be odd is the way you're presenting yourself. See, this is the thing. Sometimes it seems really obvious, but then the music keeps going and the penalty thing comes up, so it's just hard to say. Oh, pay no attention, Your Excellency. As you wish. Now kindly lower your hand. Never, not until I've proven that I'm innocent here. Oh, okay, I presented it on the statement before. That was my bad then. Shot from the back. Here's the thing that proves he was shot from the front.
Yes!
There we go. What? What are you playing at, cadet? What is the meaning of this subordination? Thrusting some photographic print in my moustache? Inconsistency, sir. I mean, yes. There's a clear inconsistency here. What nonsense. What can this print possibly tell us that we don't already know? Well, obviously, that, I know what I want to say, but the words just won't come out of my mouth. I think this proves beyond any doubt, Your Excellency, that there is no place for an amateur student here in this grand courtroom. Ugh, this is so frustrating. Oh, please. Surely this doesn't require an explanation. It couldn't be more plain. To spell it out would be an insult to the court. I'm getting very vague Miles Edgeworth vibes from Casimir's poses. It's probably not a connection, but it almost feels like it is. What are you talking about? With the, like, banging his fist on the desk and the hand to the forehead, like, fingers to the forehead thing. Do weird fringes run in the family? Who knows? It's apparent from a single glance at the photographic print presented by the defence. But there's a clear discrepancy here with the sergeant's statement. What? Sergeant Ayasanosa? Yes, sir. What, sir? The statement that you just made was this. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel. Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. I witnessed the crime with my own military-grade eyes, sir.
Yes!
But no, that just can't be. And why not, cadet? Because... Take a close look at the print. The victim, Dr. Wilson, died from a bullet wound to the chest. Ah. Sergeant, according to your witness statement, the culprit shot the victim from behind. And that is the obvious discrepancy here. Well... Oh, hello. It is a baby. Not gonna question that too much. What the... What was that? Something just popped up from behind his back, but he pushed it down again. Certainly, there is a clear discrepancy with the facts here. Would you not agree, Sergeant Nosa? Yes, sir. At this juncture, that would appear to be indisputable. Until the moment I heard the firearm discharge, my eyes were firmly fixed on the delicious Le Carnival steak, sir. What? The last testimony the court heard has proven one thing beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness, Sergeant Ayasanosa, did not see the defendant firing a gun at all. Ugh, that's absurd. I think the conclusion we must draw is simple. There is no place for an amateur prosecutor here in this grand courtroom. Savage, but true. Hey. Wild having achievements. There's been a complete turnabout in the mood of this trial, just from the one discrepancy. So this is what being an ace attorney is all about. But I definitely saw him. That university cadet there, pointing the firearm directly at the victim's back.
Yes!
But I never fired the gun. All I did was pick it up off the floor. And you, old man, you didn't see the moment the victim was shot either? Myself, I have already been quite clear. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor. Oh yes, you were looking for your Koban coin, weren't you? Indeed, the prized Aurora Koban. Hunting around under the table, I was, in case mayhap it had fallen there. And then it happened. You heard the gunshot, you mean? Indeed I did, but I heeded it not, for I was concerned only with finding my absconded high treasure. Nothing could distract me. That was an intense stare. Out of interest, did you find the coin in the end? No. I see. That lamentable day, the precious Hoi Koban was lost to me. No doubt some unscrupulous scoundrel pocketed the prize coin for himself. As I am sure everyone present is aware, this case demands a swift and decisive resolution. Our government has promised to send a full report to Great Britain by telegraph this very afternoon. Nevertheless, the witness testimony the court has just heard was inconclusive. No matter how subservient our government feels, it must be to the British. It would be unforgivable to deliver a verdict on this trial right now. What is your position, Prosecutor Ouchie? Oh dear. Worry not, Your Excellency. The defendant may have fled a tiger at the front gate, but he will find a wolf at the back. My witnesses have further testimony to make. Explain? Upon hearing their next statements, it will become abundantly clear that there is only one person who could possibly have committed this despicable crime. The equally despicable defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. What? He really seems to have a despicable opinion of you, doesn't he? Very well, the court invites the witnesses to testify again. You will thoroughly explain the reasoning behind the prosecution's allegation. Is that clear? As clear as Kiriko glass, Your Excellency. Yes, sir. At once, sir. Awaiting signal to testify, sir. Excuse me, but there's something or someone peeking out over your shoulder, I think. Affirmative. The newest member of the Nosa family to rise up through the ranks, sir. Name? Ido. I dunno. It would seem those straps are a sign of the sergeant being too strapped to afford a nanny. Ido, Ten Shin. Your father is about to quell the enemy. Watch and learn, my boy. Okay then. The true culprit. Well, I'm going to take a quick break to have a drink and restart the capture card. I will be back soon. This is probably going to be a long episode, but I want to try and keep the tutorial case all together, as it were, so yeah, be back in a minute. Okay, I am back. Checked in one of my messages from SkyStage, and apparently it's taking her quite a while to get through this case, so if it does turn out to be really lengthy, I will have to split it somewhere. I think we've already been going for like an hour at this point, so see if this testimony gets us anywhere, and if not, I may have to rethink putting it all in one, but we'll see. Even if what I saw wasn't the precise moment the firearm was discharged, it's almost the same thing. Yes, pointing his gun at the foreign man he was, that young lad in black. That much I myself did see. Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that we were the only personnel present. Indeed. Alone he was, the Englishman. dining all by himself. Therefore, no one other than the black uniformed cadet could have dispatched the Englishman. Over and out. These testimonies are certainly compelling. Wait, that's nonsense. The victim, Dr. Wilson, wasn't alone at all. Please, enough of these outbursts already. But there was a woman. There was a young woman at his table. You must have seen her. Everyone there must have seen her.
Objection!
If you call yourself a lawyer, then you will respect the rules of the court and speak accordingly. We are not here to listen to your fantasies. Ugh. It is evident beyond all reasonable doubt that the victim was alone at the time of the incident. The prosecution has photographic evidence of this fact. Is this a photographic print of the scene of the crime, counsel? Indeed, of the table at which the victim was dining, taken by an investigator immediately after the incident. As can plainly be seen, there is only one place set. Certainly, based on the appearance of this print, it would be reasonable to conclude that the victim was not in the company of anyone else. Ugh, this doesn't make any sense. The court will add this new photographic evidence to the record. Okay, carbonated water into steak lunch. Good to know, I guess. I don't understand. What's going on here? It's just not possible that nobody else saw that woman. The waiter before said the same thing. He maintains that Dr. Wilson came to the restaurant alone as well. But that's not true. I saw her. I swear that I saw a woman with him. It would seem that we'll be able to telegraph the report to Great Britain on time after all. The witness testimonies we have just heard leave no room for doubt. These are very sensitive political times, as we all know. The ink is still fresh on the treaty with Great Britain. To think that I would have contributed to the amity of these two great empires is an honour. Ah, another familiar sprite. How can this be happening? The judge is ready to rule. Stand tall, Ryunosuke. It's not over yet. What? If what you say is true, then there's something going on here behind the scenes. And now is your chance to expose it, to draw out the truth, in your cross-examination. I don't know, Kazuma. The defense is entitled to cross-examine the witnesses, but make it quick, understood? Rules can be so unbending at times. Ugh. Alright, time for the classic case attorney technique of press everything and hope.
Yes!
No, it's not the same thing at all. For a start, I didn't fire that gun. We have difference of opinion on that. The opinion of a uniformed officer versus that of a fledgling cadet. Terrifying power balance there, but yeah. I don't think so. Consider this, defendant. Just a moment ago, I blinked. Did you? Did you see it? Did you see me blink? How could I? And yet, it is an undeniable fact that I did blink. So there you have it. Have what? Tension. The sound of the firearm rang in my ears, and the very next moment, I saw you waving the gun at the Englishman. I think that says it all, don't you? Grr. And let us not forget that the antiques dealer witnessed the accused in this most incriminating position as well. Isn't that so, Korakuta-san?
Yes!
Yes, it may be true that I was holding the gun at that point in time. But I've told you already, that's only because I picked it up off the floor. Well, obviously, as the culprit, that's the only way you could explain it away. I had just finished drinking my coffee and I was about to leave the restaurant when... I noticed a gun on the floor at Dr. Wilson's feet, so I picked it up. And at exactly that moment... a gunshot rang in my ears. Huh. Full of events beyond our control, life is. Sorry? What do you mean? In your case, you found a pistol on the floor and picked it up, which precipitated this testing predicament. Whereas conversely, I failed to pick up the Koban from the floor and find myself in an equally testing predicament. Anyway, the fact remains, myself, I did see you, with pistol in hand, standing over the foreigner. Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed we were the only personnel present.
Yes!
You must have noticed someone else at Dr. Wilson's table. There was a lady there.
Objection!
As you've been at pains to point out time and time again, I feel I'm growing a callus in my ear. And yet, no one else appears to have caught even a glimpse of this woman. If only there'd been more people dining there at the time, then someone else would have noticed her. Unfortunately, it was already past 2 PM when it happened. The quiet time between lunch and dinner in any restaurant. I know, of course the place was almost empty. It's what you'd expect. Certainly 2 PM is neither here nor there in terms of a time to eat. I wonder if there was a reason why the victim was eating at that time of day, and why he was alone. Yes, Your Excellency, there was indeed a reason. There was? This was found in the victim's jacket pocket. What is that, Counsel? It is a medical report card, Your Excellency. It would seem that the victim had an appointment at a clinic prior to visiting the restaurant. Hotter clinic. Yes, that would indeed appear to be an entry for the date in question. Is this a reference to Dr. Hottie? I hope not. No one likes them. 19th of November, noon to past 1 PM. The very day of the incident. So the victim went for a late lunch following his appointment. The explanation couldn't be more simple. The prosecution felt no need to submit this evidence before, as it really has no bearing on the case. I wonder... What do you think, Ryunosuke? Well, it is hard to see how it could be related, really. Remember, you can request for it to be entered into the court record as evidence if you think it could be useful. I mean, I'll take anything they give to me.
Yes!
If I may, I'd like to ask for that medical report card. Oh, gosh. Sorry about the yawning, it's been a long weekend. I'd like to ask for that medical report card to be submitted as evidence, Your Excellency. On what grounds? The court has already heard conclusive witness testimony. Additional evidence would be extraneous. Not to mention that the victim's movements prior to his arrival at the restaurant are of no concern.
Objection!
Whether or not they are of concern is up to us to be decided. We have a right to explore all possible avenues. I beg your pardon. You have no authority to refuse a perfectly valid request for the submission of evidence. Very well, the court will grant the defence's request. Youngsters these days are forever asserting their rights. It's a most disturbing trend. Yikes to that. Officer, kindly add the victim's medical report card to the court record. I'd like to have a look at that. What we need right now is new clues. We have to explore things from every possible angle, even if they don't seem relevant at first. Right, I hear you. You can conspire to prolong this trial as much as you like, but it's the day after the festival already for you. I'll just have a quick look. Oh, I can't examine it. Okay. Disappointing. Or perhaps you'd forgotten that these witness testimonies leave no room for doubt. Feel free to reiterate for the accused, Karakuta-san. Indeed, alone he was, the Englishman, dining all by himself.
Yes!
So you actually saw that with your own eyes, did you? The victim, Dr. Wilson, dining alone. That I did. Forgive me for the position I place you in. So the testimonies of the old man, the soldier and the waiter all agree on that point. Isn't that interesting? And let us not forget the incontestable evidence we have to support their statements as well. As can clearly be seen, there is only a single beefsteak on the victim's table. A meal for one. No. The antiques dealer, the sergeant and the waiter who testified before. It's not impossible that they're all lying. But if so, then why is the restaurant just a front for stolen goods? And Dr. Wilson called them out on it and so they had to kill him. If I'm perfectly honest, I have absolutely no idea. Therefore, no one other than the black uniformed cadet could have dispatched the Englishman over and out.
Yes!
Why aren't you telling the truth? What did you say, cadet? I clearly remember. There was a woman sitting across the table from the professor. Perhaps one of you might not have noticed. But for both of you to have failed to see the professor's dining companion, it's just not possible. Unfortunately for you, Defendant Naruhido, it's not just a case of these two witnesses alone. Sorry? The waiter, whose testimony the court heard earlier, clearly stated the same thing. He also said that the victim was alone. That's right. Precisely. In other words, you are the sole proponent of this phantom lady. But I... If such a woman were indeed present at the scene, the prosecution demands to see proof. And if no such proof exists, the prosecution demands that no further mention of this phantom woman be made. It is a blatant waste of the court's time. There's nothing I can say to that. Okay, so the food is definitely behind his chair. I was wondering if his medical report was like a heart condition that meant he shouldn't be eating red meat or something, but it does seem like it was his order. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. We've gleaned some new information now. Well, yes, but I don't feel like it changes much. I can't see that it brings any real discrepancies to light. Yeah, me neither, unfortunately. I wouldn't be so sure. Let me see that medical report card you got before. Can we get more info on it? Oh, you mean this? Yes, this is a brand new piece of evidence. So perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail. How exactly? You'll notice that some pieces of evidence bear a magnifying glass. These are the ones you may examine. I tried to do that earlier and couldn't do it, so I presume we had to wait for story, but yikes. Press A and you can take a closer look at the piece in question. Move it around. Ooh, good, I can rotate now. Fabulous. To rotate the evidence in all directions and examine it from all angles. By using that one. You can move the crosshairs around to hunt for clues that might have been missed before. Definitely want to try that on the business card then. If the crosshairs start to pulsate, press A to investigate further. So, partner, I think you should take a closer look at this medical report card. See if there isn't something new to be learnt by examining it in more detail. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Oh, classic Ace Attorney. Hello. Let's have a look. This is some kind of medical history. Ah, and there's an entry for the day the professor was killed. Extrication of molar with topical anesthesia. Oh, if he had a tooth pulled, there's no way he's eating steak. Believe me, been there, done that. Extrication of molar? You mean he had a tooth taken out? It would seem so. Just before the incident, he'd had a bad tooth removed. Perhaps they used laughing gas. That's the most modern practice in the West for pain relief. Yes, I've heard of this, anesthesia. Although it's hard to believe there's anything that can actually stop you feeling pain. Ah, there's a cautionary note from the medical practitioner as well. Strictly no food or drink besides water for 3 hours post-procedure until anaesthetic effects have passed. Yeah. Really? Sounds like information worth bearing in mind. Definitely. But this new information, the meaning of that one particular statement totally changes. So I think it's time we listen to the testimony again, don't you? Definitely. I love that I managed to get the decisive evidence on the first thing I looked at. Let's have a look. Oh, hello. So the waiter is actually a police officer. So it must be a smuggling ring that they're trying to get rid of. Oh, that's fascinating.
Yes!
I didn't mean to press that, I wanted to examine it, that's my bad. At least it's the same dialogue, so I can just skip through it. Not great on the penalties, though. Really gotta make note of the controls better. Let's do it properly this time, just to see the details I missed. It says Hotter Clinic on this medical report card. I hate clinics almost as much as I hate hospitals and surgeries. Aren't they all the same? When I was 5, I caught the only cold I've ever had in my life. And I remember, even though I felt awful already, I had to have this hideous injection in my right arm. Ugh, I'll never forget it. Never in my whole life. Most people would give their right arm to have had only one cold in their whole life. Anyway, I don't think this is a clinic where they treat people for illnesses like that. Let's keep looking for clues. We don't want to miss anything. It looks like this medical report card was first issued quite some time ago. It's probably a record of long-term treatment, that's why. With a family doctor, I imagine. Well, I can't imagine. Going to a doctor, I mean. As long as I'm alive, I'm never consulting one. Oh, are you okay? Well, if you were dead, there'd be no point. So you don't like doctors, then? Why would you? They make you drink horrible-tasting medicine, they give you painful injections, and then they demand lots of money from you for the privilege, or when you're at your lowest ebb. I mean, extremely valid. You sound like a model patient. With a bad case of stubbornness, no less, for which the only cure is very bitter medicine indeed. Huh. Oh, I got an achievement for looking at those, so I'm glad I did. But anyway. Okay, so I presume it's this one. Hopefully I'm right.
Yes!
Yeah! Well, I think, about what are you wittering, lad? Call yourself a lawyer? I wish I could, but first and foremost here, I'm the accused. Rinosuke. Everyone stumbles on their words occasionally. Under the circumstances, I wouldn't worry about it. Thanks, Kazuma. I could see it quite clearly in that cross-examination you just carried out. When you raised your hand straight up like that, so purposefully, you knew exactly what it was you wanted to say. Don't feel like you have to choose your words carefully. Just say what you're thinking. Alright, and thanks for the advice. Kurakuta-san, this is a medical report card belonging to the victim. Ah, I see. And I don't see. What of it, boy? Comparing what is written on this report card with your witness statement, something clearly doesn't add up.
Objection!
Dear me, have you forgotten my words so soon, you amateur? Sorry, what? You are not to interrupt court proceedings with your amateurish drivel. But let's see if I can explain in words you might understand. It was after 2 PM in the afternoon when the victim was murdered in the restaurant. Whatever he may or may not have had done before that time is completely irrelevant. But that's, remember, Ryunosuke, you don't have to use clever language or fancy words. Just make your point. Your Excellency, I believe we're finished here. There is surely no need to prolong this trial further. Are we going to get the first objection? Come on. The witness testimonies the court has heard have been clear and concise. This medical report card has no bearing on the matter at all, for the simple reason that there is no one else besides this pale-faced pupil who could possibly have perpetrated the crime. This medical report card has nothing to do with the case. Do you really believe that? What? That outburst half petrified me, boy. Of course I believe it. How could it possibly be relevant? Perhaps because Hotta Clinic, which issued the report card, is a dental clinic. A dental clinic? Is that supposed to mean something to me? Perhaps if I told you that the victim had just had a tooth extracted. What's this now? And furthermore, if I told you that as a result, the victim had been forbidden from eating. Just what are you trying to say, Cadet? He had orders not to eat. So what? It's all written up in here. No food or drink other than water for 3 hours post-procedure while anesthesia wears off. What? No, that can't. Karakuta-san. What, boy? What? As you just heard, when he was killed sometime shortly after 2 PM, the victim couldn't have been eating anything at all. No. Additionally, there's more? You have assured the court with unwavering self-confidence that the victim was dining alone. But that cannot possibly be the case. Because the victim, as we now know, had just had one of his teeth extracted and was still experiencing the effects of the anaesthetic. Objection music. This definitely gives me versus Layton vibes. I heard that they were quite heavily inspired by that game, which makes me very happy because I adore it. Go play it if you haven't already. But gosh, we're getting somewhere. Expertly done, partner.
Objection!
What is this nonsense, you little upstart? These are baseless accusations. Just look at this photographic evidence. You can clearly see the plate of food at the victim's table.
Objection!
Use your head. That's the very discrepancy we're talking about. Or can't you follow the logic? How dare you? I think it's fair to say that the tables in this restaurant case have turned. Oh boy. Wouldn't you agree, Ryunosuke? Yes, most definitely. So having just undergone some dental surgery, the victim was unable to eat. Which leaves one very crucial conundrum. Who in fact was eating the pictured beefsteak? The court will hear the opinion of the defence on this new puzzle. I assume you're ready, counsel. Counsel? Oh, that means me, doesn't it? Alright, the answer to this question is going to be pivotal. This is the start of you turning this trial around. Show them what you're made of. Got it. So, the person eating the steak at the victim's table must have been... Wasn't the victim, wasn't him. 2 witnesses were off doing their own thing. Must be the third party. Obviously, it can only have been someone else who was sitting at the professor's table.
Objection!
You will not let this go, will you? There was no such person.
Yes!
There was, because I saw her. When the incident occurred, we know that the victim couldn't have been eating anything. Yet we have evidence for half-eaten steak on his table. Therefore, the only logical conclusion is that there was someone else there eating it. We have strong evidence to support our assertion. Clear that these witness testimonies are unreliable. If the court decides to push through a ruling at this stage, we will lodge a formal complaint with the Ministry of Justice and pursue a fair retrial, relentlessly. Kazuma, are you insane? You would take on the government? Don't worry, Counsel. I have no issue with you. What do you mean? I have issue with them, those two witnesses in the stand. What? What are you talking about? We have demonstrated with evidence that the victim was not alone. So if it now turns out that the two of you deliberately lied when giving your testimonies, obviously you will be charged with perjury. Good grief! Ace Attorney games, by the way, if you haven't played them, are absolutely notorious for people lying on the stand and then nothing ever coming of it. So seeing what someone actually being threatened with perjury charges is like series changing. Perjury? And since this is a murder trial, you will also be deemed complicit in the killing. Complicit in murder? No! Wow, a lawyer actually making them take responsibility for their actions. This never happens. There was no mention of this at the tactical meeting. I was just following orders. That's right, as the man says. Just say you never saw the gentlewoman. That's what they, told us. Oh. What? What did you just say, Karakita-san? Oh, no. You were just following orders. Now hold on, lad. I was, say you never saw the gentlewoman. When you say gentlewoman, do you mean you saw the victim with the lady from overseas? What?
Objection!
What is the meaning of all this? These witnesses gave false statements. This is only just occurring to you? Is this true, you pair? Just one simple slip of the tongue. Order! Counsel, explain what is going on here. It's painfully clear now. You tried to prevent these witnesses from telling the truth. Absolutely not. The prosecution knows nothing of this. I love the, slapping noise his hands make instead of the third. That's great. And who's behind this? Who tried to make you keep your mouth shut? Well, I presume it was the waiter/police officer. That's classified. So you're prepared to be tried as a conspirator to this murder, are you? You wouldn't. This can't be happening. Rinosuke, judging from the way they're reacting to this, I'd say they were sworn to silence by someone with considerable influence. However, I don't believe Aoshi had any idea about it. What are you saying? I mean, to wield that kind of influence, there are only a handful of possibilities. It could only have been the government, the military, or the police, I suppose. Well, any ideas about who might be behind this? Yes, actually. If we can affirm who tried to silence these witnesses, then we can continue our pursuit. So we need to name whoever it was that tried to make the witnesses keep their mouths shut. Of course, we'll need evidence before we make any firm accusations. Evidence that proves whoever it is really did wield his or her power here. But how? How can we possibly? Remember how we made progress before? Before? We examined this piece of evidence in more detail and found a new clue as a result. Oh yes, that's right. Well, that's not the only piece of evidence we have, is it? We need to re-examine everything and make sure there's nothing we've missed. There's no time to lose. I want answers. If it's proven that these witnesses have been manipulated, I assure you the penalty will be severe. Please, wait. Your Excellency, I had no idea about any of this. I swear to every Shinto god. I knew nothing. And what does the defense have to say about all this, well, Your Excellency. Oh, no time to think. I'm just going to have to close my eyes and shout out the first name that comes into my head. Besides the prosecution, the only person with the necessary influence to manipulate the witnesses is... And we've been recording for a long time, so I'm gonna leave it here, and we will get back to this case next episode. Until then, thank you for watching, and goodbye.